Happy Thursday! I'm Paula Montgomery from Desert Cat Creations, and I want to welcome you to our Week 16 Bead Stash Challenge. Today, we're going to make a cake tester. So if you've never made one of those, now you're going to learn. So, you know, we make a variety of things here. It's all good. We make jewelry, we make non-jewelry items, but everything involves beads, so, and your bead stash. Okay, so welcome. If you haven't been with us before, please let me know you're out there. Let me know where you're coming in from. If you're watching the replay, I'd love to know that you're watching the replay. So if you have a chance, just drop a comment and let me know. So it's week 16 already. Can you believe that? All right. And I hope you guys are all having a good week. It's springtime everywhere. It's been beautiful here this week. I'm in Arizona, in Tucson, Arizona, and our cactus are blooming. I was looking through some old pictures, and it looks like everything's a little ahead of schedule this year compared to a couple of years ago, which I'm a little confused at because we haven't had any rains, and a few years ago we had lots of rain, and so everything happened a little later, but it's okay. So if you haven't seen it in our group, I posted a little reel that I made from my walk yesterday. I live near a old golf course that's being turned back into a nature preserve. So I posted some pictures. Had a little scare with with a snake. I was looking at a lizard. When you see lizards are running all over the place this time of year, right? But they're usually pretty quick, so you don't get pictures of them, which is why there aren't any in my video. But they come out and they do push-ups to get the blood flowing. But it's really cute. But I was watching the lizard, and then I was starting to step into the shade on the sidewalk, and I realized there was a snake there. I was like, whoa, So I backed up just to make sure that the snake didn't have rattles on it, which it did not. So, which means it's a friendly snake, and probably eats rattlesnakes. So it's good. But it did make my heart race a little bit, and I had kind of stood there and took a picture until it decided which direction it was going, and it did turn around and make its way off the sidewalk, so I could go by. But sometimes, when you're out there in nature, things can be a little nervous. I have to say the only other time I was a little nervous was I ran into some coyotes, and first I thought there was just one, so I wasn't too worried because he was headed the other direction. He was off, about, 50 yards away from me. But then I noticed he stopped and was watching me as I was watching him. And then I also noticed that he had 2 or 3 other friends. Now, one coyote pretty much will run off and not mess with a human, but when you get a pack and they're hungry, I was a little concerned, but I was fine. So anyways, it's the fun of being out in nature, right? You never know what you're going to see. All right, so today we will make our cake tester. So if you're interested in cake testers, I do sell a pack of what I call my non-jewelry kit. So it has things for making. It has these basically kebab spikes in there for making cake testers. It has things for making bookmarks. It has things for making keychains. Just a variety of things that will help you if you're making these non-jewelry products. If you're making a cake tester, I don't recommend that you use just regular wire. I mean, if you do, make sure you're using quality wire, but I would probably go buy one of these kebab things that is food safe, right? So that's just my, let's keep everything safe for our food, right? We don't want to be putting things into our food, right? but also be careful. These things have points on them. They can be sharp, and I just poked my finger a couple times. So I do sometimes. I will stick a little one of those little silicone earring things on the end just to keep the point from sticking me. Okay, so but anyways, let's go ahead and get started. Let me flip the camera over. Yeah, we'll zoom in a little bit here. My camera in a little bit different place, so we'll see how that works. All right, so our cards that we drew, we had to make a cake tester, so that's why we have this stick out. Okay, we have to use pink in our design. So let's see what I've got. A couple different things out here. I've got some pink, there's this fuchsia pink glass rounds. That's just glass. I've got some pink kind of seed bead kind of stuff. And I've got some hot pink fuchsia seed bead kind of things here. So, you know, when you draw the pink card, it can be any shade of pink that you like, all right? So if you're not a pink person, but you love fuchsia, which I kind of like the really hot pinks more than the pale pink most of the time, because the pale pink kind of, it does not necessarily look great on my skin tone. So anyways, you can use whatever shade of pink you want. All right. We have to use silver in our design. Well, you know, we're automatically using silver with this, but I also have some silver spacer beads, as well as a couple of charms that I pulled out that are silver. Okay. I'm also going to use silver flex wire, because that's our next thing. We have to use flexible beading wire in our design. So we're going to use some soft flex medium as our flexible beading wire. All right. I've also got some silver craft wire out in case we need that for something, which we may. Okay. Because we're going to try something here. Actually, I probably need 24 gauge wire for what I was thinking, so I will change that out in a minute here. But and our challenge card, we have to make a multi-strand or wrap design. And, you know, okay, it's a cake tester. So let's think about how we might do that. All right, got my 24 gauge wire. That'll be a little easier for what I was thinking. All right. So I'm thinking I might do a little wrapping on there. So again, you know, like some of these cards, when you combine them, just use some flexibility. They're generic for reasons. So, you know, if you can explain a logical reason why what you do makes sense with the cards, I'm good, right? And quite honestly, if you make your design and you forget to use one of the cards, which I've come close to a couple of times, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. All right. So I thought I would try a couple different things. One is, in response to this wrapping thing, I thought I would try to wrap some of these seed beads onto our stake here. Now, the question is, should I wrap the loop or should I wrap down here a little ways? Now, you want to leave, you know, I would say you want to leave probably a good 3 inches. This is the longer pole. There are some shorter ones. Here's the shorter one. So some of you may have gotten the short one in your pack. But again, I would leave about 3 inches at least, because you got to have enough to put into your baked good without, melting your beads or anything, right? So if you don't know what a cake tester is, it's to test if your baked goods are done, right? So if you make muffins or cupcakes or anything, you stick this in when it looks mostly done, and if it comes out clean, that means it's done. If it comes out and it's all full of cake batter, muffin batter, whatever, bread batter, it's not done, okay? So let's go ahead and set the cards off to the side. And I think we'll do the wrapping first. So I thought I might just do some wrapping with these beads. And they may be a little big for what I want, but I don't know. So let's find the end of our wire. There it is. I'm going to pull the thing out there. And I am just going to pull a length of wire, probably about 18 inches, just to make sure I have plenty of wire. It's better to have more wire than not enough wire, although, you can always kind of change your design midstream. So we're going to do a little wire wrapping on our post here. So I'm going to start on this closed edge, like right at this V, and I am going to wrap this wire around just to get it on there. And I am going to use my pliers to tuck that in, although I may wait. All right, so let's just, now we're going to grab a bead and my wire grabbed my necklace. All right. And I'm just going to kind of hold this in place, and I want that bead on the outside edge, so I'm going to wrap this wire around there. Now be careful, you don't want to get kinks in your wire, because then you could end up breaking it. Which is always a challenge. So, hey Janilda, we're just getting started on our project here. I'm doing a little wire wrapping since my design was supposed to have wrapping or be a wrapped design, so I'm using it as literal wrapping. And let me as I tighten this up, we'll show you what we're doing. So what I'm doing is just wrapping these beads on the outside, and I'm going to go ahead and put two wraps in between, since these are kind of big beads. Okay, I'm making a mess, and this is going to look a little wonky. That's a technical term, by the way, because these beads are not consistently sized. Okay, but that adds a little character, right? And I'm doing a full wrap around in between, just because I wanted to, I want to hold it on there. Now you could, which I've done in the past, take, just put a bunch of beads on and then wrap around to attach the strand of beads on there. That works too, and it's probably speedier than what I'm doing here, but it all works out in the end, right? It gives you a slightly different look. I love to bake breads and muffins. I don't do a lot of cakes, but I have used cake testers for years, although, they were always store-bought ones. You do want to be careful that you're using like beads that won't melt in case it gets warm. Now, this part up here should not get warm, but you never know. I know you can't see much through my fingers, but I'm trying to hold it stiff on there. So let me show you our progress. So that's what it's looking like, and this is killing my fingernails. Oops. All right. I don't want to use that. That has a bead attached to a bead, huh? All right. So I hope you all got a chance to get out and enjoy Earth Day yesterday. I am a big nature lover, so I did post a picture from my walk or a reel I made from pictures on my walk yesterday on our nature preserve that I was talking about earlier. So you can see that in our group if you haven't already. Like I said, the snake encounter was a little nerve-wracking, but once I saw that he did not have rattles, I was good. I've actually encountered more snakes this year than ever in my 5 years that I've been walking that trail. As a matter of fact, I've seen 2 this week. There was one, which is, it's kind of funny. You'll see birds chasing snakes away. Obviously, the snakes are trying to get too near their nest or somebody's nest, or the babies. There's a lot of baby quail out right now, and they're awful darn cute. You get this whole group of little tiny fluff balls chasing along behind their parents. Now, if I wanted to, I could have wrapped the inside of this as opposed to the outside, but I don't know why I would choose to do that other than less wrapping. I don't know. That's looking kind of fun, huh? Normally I just put things on the pole, but decided today we would work on most of our decorations on this ring up here. Let's do too thick, I think. Do any of you bake? I will also admit that I do most of my baking around the holidays. I don't do a lot of baking the rest of the year. I got completely out of the habit of baking, you know, in the summertime when I lived in Virginia, because in my house, it would get so humid there, okay? And in my house, the kitchen was directly under my bedroom. So if you did any cooking with the oven, it really heated up the bedroom. All right, I think we may just have enough to get us through this, huh? Now you want to pull it tight, you know, because you don't want the beads to move around. And they will move around a little on you at first, especially when you're first starting this wrap, but as it gets to be matching the shape, it moves a lot less. So hopefully we are not running out of as I'm throwing beads on my floor. It's okay. I cleaned up a bunch the other day. I'll do it again. So, all right. And, you know, you could, because the holes are big here, you could go through the bead twice if you really wanted to make sure it's in there nice and firm from moving. But I am not doing that. Hopefully we are not going to run it short on wire, but you know what? We'll deal with it if we have to. I need one of those boards with a rim on it so when I mess with my beads they don't go flying, but I'll just be finding pink beads on my desk for a while. Let's see. Hopefully. I think we're going to make it. think some of these I should have pulled a little harder, a little tighter, but it's all right. All right, let's see. I think we got room for one more. Now, I started, you know, this is an opening. This one's closed off pretty well, but sometimes these stakes are not as nicely sealed here at the get that bead up there where I need it. All right, this one I think I am going to go back through the bead. And I'm going to pull that tight. And then I am going to wrap this around here to make sure everything's good and tight. All right. And, you know, 2 or 3 is probably fine. I'm going beyond that. You know, I could even have wrapped it through there and around just to hold those tight, but I think that's good. So just gonna trim this, and I'm gonna use my pliers just to tuck that in and make sure those wires are tight. All right, so there is the wrapped part of our design, right? Let's get those out of the way. All right, so we still have to use our soft flex beading wire. And what I thought I would do is just maybe put a couple of dangles up here. So let's I don't know. I don't want it to be too long, so the thought is, so we can either like do a loop to hang something off of here, or I can just do a straight piece with the charm at the bottom. So it would be, you know, dangling off the side. No. I guess I also could have, you know, when you look at it again. So, I mean, I like the pink there, but I could have also, like, alternated pink and silver. But, like I said, we're using silver wire, so. All right. Really think it's going to be much easier to do a loop of wire. So, I'm going to cut a piece. This is what, about 4 inches, 5 inches. All right, and we've got some crimp beads when we're ready. All right. So basically, I just want to build a loop of and I'm going to put some beads on here. We'll see how that looks. We'll try it, and then if we don't like it, we will switch to just a strand sticking down, okay? Or 2 strands sticking down if we, that's what I was thinking. All right, right now I'm just building that circle. If it were similar, you could hang it in the middle of your, oh yeah, small, yeah. Yeah, that would be cute. I don't have a tiny charm though. And now I'm wondering if I want to put the charm on a jump ring. I don't know. Let's put a few more beads on here and we'll see what we think. All right. So I'm alternating my pink beads to coordinate and my silver spacers. I'm just using some really basic silver, round silver beads. But let's kind of hold this on here and see what we think. All right. I don't think I like the loop. All right. So I think what I'm going to do is first thing I'm going to do is get some crimp beads out. Since I'm going to fight with this, I need to have my beads ready, right? All right, so let's put my crimp bead on there. I may just do this doubled up just because it's easier. Actually, maybe I don't really need a crimp bead there, except it'll hold it. So I don't have to crimp it there. So let's think about this a minute here. All right, so if I take my wires and I'm doubling them up, and I am just gonna put some beads on here. Cannot see the holes. All right, there we go. So I want this, I think, to dangle from there. So I'm gonna just push the beads up. And make sure I can get 2 layers through all my beads. The metal beads are fine. And again, if you want to use plastic beads on a cake tester, make sure they're near the top, or make sure they're silicone. Silicone would be best because it wouldn't melt. Let's put a couple more. Some of these beads, like I said, they're different sizes. And all right, so what I have here is a little decorative dangle, and then what I can do is hang my charm. Oh, wait. Put my crimp bead on now. And then I'm only going to put the charm through one, or put one piece back through the charm. Okay. And now I'm just pushing it up to where I can where's the end? All right, I'm going to take the end of this, stick it back up through the crimp bead and a couple other beads. I cannot see anything today here. I think it's stuck. Oh, there it is. Finally see the end. It came out way up there. Where's my pliers? All right, and we're gonna yank on that end. Push things back up. So before I crimp it, what do you think? Just a little dangle here. I think that's kind of cute. All right, so pulling that a little tighter. We're going for it. All right, guys. So I have basically three strands through my crimp bead, which actually is something that is often recommended. So my crimp bead, or my wire, was turning on me. I'm going to pull on this and see if it's tight. It is tight, so, all right. Now I just have to carefully trim the ends here. Let's see. And then this one we can trim there. And we have a little dangle. What do you think? Do we need more than one dangle, or was one dangle? good. Yeah. Trying to figure out what I gotta think one dangle works. Question is whether you, so remember the cards. So the cards that I had to do a multi-strand or wrap design. So we did wrap, we did wire wrapping. Do we need a second dangle to make it a multi-strand, or what do you guys think? You think one's good? So if I put the second one on, it would probably make it a little shorter. Oh, that might be really cute, actually. All right, I'm gonna put a second one on. So let me, another piece of wire. We'll make it a little shorter. All right, let's see if we can do this quicker this time. So that up tight there. Put that pink there. All right, and I think we'll just do, I wanted to do it shorter, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I had 6 beads on the other one. We'll just do 3 on this one, I think. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4. And maybe one more. She's one of the thin ones, okay. All right, and then we need our crimp bead. All right, crimp bead there. And again, we're just gonna pick one side and feed this back up there. Come on. All right, it's not wanting to go through that bead. That's fine though. It went through 2. I just have to grab the end so I can pull this up. We're almost there. All right. Push that up. All right, and something like the pointed end going in my arm, but that's okay. All right, let's put our crimp Let's see if we can make this one look better. The other one was a little crushed. This one looks like I'm not doing a great job at it either. I will say when I use 3 layers of wire, sometimes I end up crushing my bead. I don't know why that is. It's not beautiful, but you know what? It's gonna hold. So let's get that trimmed. And then we gotta trim this end up here. All right. Woo-hoo. Come on, flip over. There's our cake tester. So we've got multi-strands, and we also got wrapped. We used pink, and we used silver. And we used flexible beading wire for our dangles. So what do y'all think about that? I think that came out pretty cute. But yeah, it would be cute to put a small dangle in there. Probably one of those small cactus spacer beads I could have made it a little charm in there. Maybe next time. All right, so, you know, it's all about cactus here. I'm gonna just separate my beads and clean this up, but anyways, so we used flexible beading wire, we used silver, we had a multi-strand and a wrap design. We used hot pink or fuchsia, and we made our cake tester. So we are done. Woohoo! All right, Janelda, thanks for joining me. We're coming off anyways. We'll be back on Sunday at noon for our week 17 drawing, and noon Pacific time. I'm sure I'll see all of you around. Have a great week or weekend. I hope you have a chance to do some playing and make something creative. Give us a picture if you're working on something, even if it's not a Bead Stash challenge. I'd love to see what you're making. You can post it in the group and play along. I will see all of you on Sunday. Have a great weekend. Bye.